The New York Democratic gubernatorial debate.
Governor Andrew Cuomo and challenger Cynthia Nixon. Ms. Nixon, we're going to start with you. Why are you running?
I'm not an Albany insider like Governor Cuomo, but I think that experience doesn't mean that much.
Governor, if you'd like to rebut.
I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of Senator John McCain, who is not a member of our party, but a great, great American.
Can you promise the voters of New York, right here, right now, tonight, that if you win re-election, that you won't run for president and spend the next 4 years as governor?
Yes, yes. Yes and yes. Double yes.
We don't need a corrupt corporate Democrat in Albany as his main opposition.
There's only one corporate Democrat on this stage. It's my opponent.
Ms. Nixon, you are proposing that New York State move to a single-payer health care system, also known as Medicare for All. Everybody would be covered. A Rand Corporation study found this would cost $139 billion. That's almost the size of the state budget. It would double it. How do you plan to make this happen?
What we would have is a payroll tax in order to pay for it. It would be taken out of people's payrolls the same way Social Security is taken out.
The number one supporter for the Republican Senate is Mike Bloomberg. He gave them $3 million. My opponent said she would support him for governor.
I did not say I would support him for governor.
Okay.
I said I would not run against him because he is not corrupt like you are.
Well, then that means you would support him for governor.
No, I would not.
Oh, you would
I would not run against him. There is an enormous difference.
Well, then he would be governor, and he is the person who supported the Republican Senate.
We agreed that you would keep it down.
You are a corporation. When you file taxes as a corporation, you are a corporation. You donated to the mayor.
To anyone's political campaign.
You are a corporation.
I donate through my own personal funds. Are you a corporation? I don't even know what you're referring to.
Well, you should read the newspapers.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Keep it down. Ms. Nixon.
Yes.
You are an early proponent of legalizing marijuana. What do you say to a parent who's trying to teach their children to stay away from drugs?
We're not talking about children smoking marijuana, right? We're talking about adults, and it's time to make it legal for everybody else.
What do you say to parents who don't want their kids starting to use drugs?
It makes sense. New Jersey is doing it. Massachusetts is doing it. 8 other states are doing it. She released 5 years of corporate taxes, dumped them in 3 hours on a Friday with no notice.
It's a big nothing burger, and that's all he has to say about it.
Okay, we're going to move on.
If it was a nothing burger, you wouldn't hide it for 3 hours on a Friday.
I didn't hide it.
Maybe Donald Trump's taxes are a nothing burger too, but it's only you and Donald Trump.
They wrote nothing about it because there was nothing to see.
Well, then why wouldn't you release them for a real period of time instead of just for 3 hours with no notice?
Why didn't you release your taxes in 2010 when you ran? You didn't release them until after the election.
I released my taxes.
You kept moving the goalposts.
I've released them for 20
and have a whole different set of rules for me than you have for you, and I don't think that's fair.
I've released them for 20 years. Here it is. I've released my taxes for 20 years. Will you? I didn't think so.
All right. Governor Cuomo, the legislature has passed a bill requiring employers to give workers up to 12 weeks of paid bereavement leave after the death of a close family member. Is 12 weeks too much, too little, or just right?
Paid family leave will go to 12 weeks. It is 8 weeks now, but we plan to take it to 12 weeks.
And what do you tell business owners who have to lose people for 12 weeks? 3 months?
We say, you know what? Employees have rights.
In his first term, he declared war on unions, which is why the Koch brothers gave him $87,000 when he ran in 2010, because they knew that his policies were going to benefit billionaires like them and corporations like theirs.
I think my opponent is upset with the Koch brothers, as they're the only ones who take more corporate tax loopholes than she does.
You want to give public employees the right to strike without penalties, opening the way for work stoppages by transit workers, teachers, sanitation workers, and public hospital employees.
Those teachers needed to be allowed to strike. I think we need to return to public sector workers every tool in their toolkit. And when I am...
Even if it paralyzes the city?
Teachers could go on strike, there would be no school, children wouldn't be educated, and everybody started by saying education is so important.
We see the tragedy of homeless people living on our streets every single day. People, many of them suffering from mental illness, yet police are prohibited by state law from removing them except under the most extreme conditions. Should the law be changed to allow homeless people to be taken off the street against their will in order to get help and shelter for their safety and for the safety of others?
It's not going to work if the police have to force a mentally ill person into a shelter.
We must not force them into shelters.
Given your personal wealth, reported to be in the tens of millions of dollars, and considering...
Which is not true.
It's reported.
If you released your taxes, we would know.
I have. I've released 5 years. 5 years.
All right. And considering that you embrace what's known as democratic socialism,
Yes.
will you forego the governor's salary of $179,000 and turn it back to the state?
Sure.
No salary.
No salary.
Maybe $1.
Maybe $1.
If my opponent is a socialist and she's for higher taxes, why doesn't she have her corporation, Fickle Mermaid, make up its mind, dissolve, and stop the corporate loopholes and pay her fair share of taxes?
I am paying my fair share of taxes. Having a corporation is something that actors have all the time. It's like being a small business owner or a freelance worker.
Working men and women don't have corporations, and they don't have the corporate benefits. My opponent lives in the world of fiction. I live in the world of fact. Let's just do a few facts, okay? The subway system is owned by New York City. The subway system
has been controlled by the state since 1965.
Can you stop interrupting? Can you stop interrupting?
Can you stop lying?
Yeah. As soon as you do.
I'm Maurice Dubois, along with Marcia Kramer here. We will see you on the news tonight at 11 o'clock.
Are they a heart attack victim or are they resting? Are you okay? Oh my God,